Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Riding. I'm a teacher candidate at Queen's University and with Science Rendezvous Kingston. In this segment, we're going to be learning about renowned micropaleontologist, Frances Wagner. In Hamilton, Ontario, Frances and her younger brother spent many hours of their youth exploring the flora, fauna, and geology of the Canadian Shield around her family's Muskoka vacation cottage on Mary Lake. Frances became skilled in the outdoors as a proficient swimmer and horseback rider. Frances Wagner attended the University of Toronto, specializing in paleontology. She graduated in 1948 and remained at the university to complete her master's degree in invertebrate paleontology. Her research focused on the stratigraphy and fauna of an Ordovician limestone sequence within a small quarry northeast of Ottawa. In 1949, during the summer of her master's degree, Wagner began her career at the Geological Survey of Canada. She catalogued fossil samples at the Victoria Museum in Ottawa, suddenly the only woman scientist in a field group of male colleagues. At the time, it was thought women were not strong enough to carry rock samples and that it was inappropriate for women to camp outdoors. Frances would continue to face tremendous resistance, but nevertheless proved her ability in the field, and she began to work full-time with the survey in 1950 as a paleontologist. Frances Wagner became one of the first women to be included in fieldwork at the survey. At the time, Frances was one of only 3 female research scientists working within the survey, alongside her mentor, paleontologist Dr. Alice Wilson, and sedimentary oil field geologist Dr. Helen Bellier. Frances was part of the first generation of Canadian geologists with the privilege of being mentored by other women in science. With these teachings, she would continue her success in the field and the lab. In the 1950s, micropaleontology, which was already an established field, was really emerging as a technology, making Frances among the early Canadian pioneers in this area of study. In 1954, she earned her PhD at Stanford University in Pleistocene paleontology. Her doctorate focused on micropaleontology, the study of microscopic fossils. When Frances went to work for the Geological Survey, only a quarter of Canada's geology had been mapped. During the 30 years of her career, 2/3 of the country's underlying layers and continental shelves were defined in detail. Dr. Wagner became an expert in the micropaleontology of ancient seas in Canada, and an expert of the microbiota of the Arctic and Atlantic continental shelves. She collected seafloor sample cores on countless marine expeditions, which she used to map Canada's terrestrial and marine geology, and provide an insight into the ancient oceans that once covered what is now called Canada. Wagner also conducted core analysis work in the Caribbean and the Canadian Maritimes, and in 1967 she moved to Nova Scotia to work at the Bedford Institute Laboratory, where she would serve on the first Canadian research vessel, the Hudson, from 1969 to 1970, the first Canadian ship to circumnavigate the Americas and the first purpose-built research ship to traverse the Northwest Passage. Frances became an expert on the Champlain Sea, which covered parts of Ontario and Quebec at the end of the last ice age. Frances Wagner belonged to the Paleontological Society of America and the Friends of the Pleistocene organization. In 1973, she was elected as a Fellow of the Royal Canadian Geographical Society in recognition of her scientific research. Frances Wagner came in on a tide of micropaleontology and emerged as an expert of the field. Frances was one of the first female scientists to be permitted to conduct fieldwork by the Geological Survey of Canada, and part of the barriers for the women scientists, geologists, and paleontologists who followed her.